Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the botany video class. I am Mrs. Anusha, the botany teacher of Corpus Christi School. Today, I'm going to teach you morphology of flowering plants. This is the first lesson in second unit as per ISC syllabus and the fifth lesson as per NCERT syllabus, which is also the second unit first lesson, and one of the important lessons as per NTA syllabus. So in this lesson, we will be learning about the structure of each and every part of the plant. So what is morphology? Morphology, literally, it's a Greek word which means study of external form and structure. Morphos stands for external structure. So morphology means study of external form and structure of a plant, of any organism. In morphology, the plant morphology is divided into two major aspects: vegetative morphology and reproductive morphology. So in vegetative morphology, we will be learning about the vegetative parts of a plant. In reproductive morphology, the reproductive part of a plant, which is the flower. Otherwise, as per the systems, we can divide the plant into two major systems: shoot system and root system. The upper part of the plant, which is exposed to the sunlight above the soil, contributes the shoot system, which includes leaf, stem, flowers, buds, branches, etc. The root system is the system which is completely suppressed inside the soil, found inside the soil, which is devoid of green color. Right? So that is what root system. What is the major function? The shoot system, as it's outside the soil, as it possesses the green chlorophyll in it, majorly shoot system is responsible for photosynthesis. As they possess flower, the reproductive unit of the plant, they are responsible for reproduction too. The main function of root system is giving anchorage, and it helps in absorption. Let us learn about root system in detail in this class. So first, the root. It is from a single cell in an embryo. The root system is completely developed from a single cell, which is known as a radicle. Radicle is the primary cell from which the entire root system forms or being arised. If the radicle develops and undergoes cell division, it develops a complete root system that forms a strong primary root, what you can see here in this picture. This primary root is formed from the radicle. It's very long-lived. As it is produced from the radicle, it's very strong, and it's long-lived in dicot plants. That's why you can see in dicot plants, tap root system will be available. Tap root system is the one which possesses a primary tap root. But what happened in monocot? In plants like grass, paddy, maize, sugarcane sort of plants, in monocot plants, what happened here is the embryo develops its radicle, but the radicle produces the taproot system, which is very short-lived. The primary taproot system, which is produced in monocots, will be very short-lived. And soon, the shoot system will be produced, and the roots will be produced from the base of the shoot system. In monocots, radicle is short-lived, or primary taproot is short-lived, which will later be replaced by the fibrous roots which are produced from the base of the stem. And that bunch or cleft of roots which are produced from the base of the stem are known as fibrous root system. So in monocots, we can see fibrous root system. What are the reason? The first reason, radicle is short-lived in monocot. Right? A bunch of fibrous roots are produced in monocot plants. And one more kind of roots that we could notice in plants is adventitious roots. Adventitious. What is the meaning of the word adventitious? Adventitious means anything which is beyond its original source of origin. So adventitious roots are roots which are produced from parts other than radicle. Right? Here fibrous root is also a kind of adventitious root, as this is produced from the base of the stem. One more example, that is prop root of banyan. There is a lot of example, but one more example I have given, that is the banyan trees produce prop roots from their branches. So that's the best example for adventitious root. So what are the root system here? Taproot system. The root which is primary root which is produced from the radicle is a taproot system. And you can see the taproot system in dicot plants. In monocot plants, taproot system is replaced by fibrous root system, and this is also a kind of adventitious root as it is produced from the base of the stem. And then the third term is adventitious root system. Here adventitious root system means the root system or the roots which are produced from the parts other than radicle. The next topic what we are going to learn is characteristics of the root system. So generally, if it is a root, it would be the descending part of the plant which is growing towards the soil, which penetrate into the earth. It's a descending part of the plant, and which is completely devoid of chlorophyll. Okay, basically a typical root is completely devoid of chlorophyll. We will learn exceptions later. That's why I'm stressing that typically it's devoid of chlorophyll. And they do not have any nodes and internodes and buds. They never produce any axillary bud. Okay, in the axil of root, we could never see any bud coming out. And what is a node? Node is a branch from where a new node is the point from where a new branch is generally produced. So in root, you can't find any node or internode. So this is the primary root, and these are lateral roots. And this lateral roots, why we are not saying that this is a node? Lateral roots are produced from internal origin. Okay, internally they are being produced. These lateral roots are produced endogenously. They are produced from inside. They are produced from the pericycle cells which are found inside. That's why we are not calling it as a node. Okay, note it very clear. These lateral roots are produced from the pericycle, and we are calling this as endogenously produced. The origin of lateral roots are endogenous. And you can find root cap and root hairs. These are the root hairs, and root cap would be at the tip of the root. These are root hairs. So root hairs and root cap are present. And roots are generally geotropic. They are positively geotropic. They are growing towards the soil. They are growing towards the earth. And they are growing away from the light. They are negatively phototropic and positively geotropic. So these are the characteristics of any root system. Typical characteristic of any root system. Now, what are the regions of the root? Regions of the root, there are 4 major regions that we could find in any prominent taproot system. So the first part, which is at the tip of the plant, is called root pocket or root cap region. So this root cap region will generally protect the inner meristematic zone. The inner meristematic zone is the real active cell division zone. And the inner meristematic zone, as it is so tender and very important for the growth of the root, it has to be protected, and that protection will be given by the root cap region. Because of the presence of root cap, this soft, tender root can penetrate deep down into the soil. So the first part is, or the first zone is root pocket zone or root cap zone. And the second part is meristematic zone. This meristematic region contains meristematic cells, which are the actively dividing cells which are responsible for the growth of the plant, for the growth of the root especially, so that it facilitates the growth of the plant too. And then the third region is zone of elongation or elongation of region. Now, in this region, we have the meristematic zone, and the newly produced cells will always be pushed to the lower part of the plant, lower part of that region. So in this region, it's all newly produced cells. So these cells will undergo tremendous metabological activities, and they will be increasing in its size. They will be elongating in its size. These cells will get elongated. The cells undergo tremendous metabological activity, and the cell will grow in its size. So that is this region of elongation. So this part of root can be seen proximal to the meristematic region, and gradually the cells will undergo differentiation process and they are slowly getting matured. What is the next part? This is zone of maturation or maturation region. So in this part, what we can see here in this part is completely mature root cells. And this matured root cells will be producing root hairs. As I said, root hairs are endogenous in origin. Lateral roots would be produced from this part. And these lateral roots are produced from the inner cells, inner pericycle cells. You have studied about the regions, you have studied about the various cells present inside the root in lower classes. You have studied about cortex, pericycle, endodermis, right? So this pericycle and endodermal cells will be responsible for the lateral region, lateral roots production. And that's why we are calling this as endogenous in origin. Right? So these are the four different regions of root. Zone of maturation, zone of elongation, zone of meristematic cells, and then root cap or root pockets. Right? And then the next topic what we are going to learn is modifications of the root. First, before knowing what are the modifications, we should know why a root has to modify. The prime reason why a root has to modify is when it wanted to do some special function apart from its normal function. What are the normal functions of root system? Anchorage and absorption. Right? Anchorage and absorption are the normal function. So when a root wanted to do some special function apart from its normal function, the root undergoes some modification. And these modifications, based on their function, based on their form, we are dividing them again into so many types. So our first example what we are going to learn is the modification which we could notice in a tap root system, in the primary root. These are the modified structure found in the primary root or in the tap root system. And the main idea behind this modification is to store food and also to be responsible at the time of its propagation. What is this propagation? Or you can use the word perennation. What is this propagation or perennation? They used to store food, and later when it's necessary, when the situations become unfavorable, the shoot system will get dry off without leaving any damage to the root system. This root can be there, perennate, and later when they receive favorable situation, this root can produce another new plant. So this is to store food and also as a part of its perennation. So based on the shape, we are dividing this under four major types. The first one is conical root. Best example for conical root is a Daucus carota. Daucus carota is carrot. And then the second one, fusiform. So fusiform is a kind of a spindle-shaped structure. The root would be in the form of a spindle-shaped one. The best known example for this is radish or Raphanus sativus. And then the next one is called napiform. In napiform, you can see a top-shaped structure. The root assumes a top-shaped structure. On the top side or near the stem surface, it's very broad and it suddenly tapers down towards the down part, lower part. So that is napiform. Best example for this is Beta vulgaris. There is nothing but the sweet beet. And the next one is tuberous root. Tuberous root, the primary root stores food and it doesn't occur any specific shape for it. So that is tuberous root. And the best example for tuberous root are Mirabilis jalapa or the 4 o'clock plant's root. So that's the best example for tuberous roots example. Okay, tuberous root. So these are the 4 different types of root that we could notice in taproot system when it modifies itself to store food and also for perennation. And the next one is the modification that we could notice in adventitious root system. Here too, the purpose of modification is the same, to store food and also undergo perennation. The types are based on their shape. So the first one, tuberous root, that doesn't attain any particular shape. So that is tuberous root. Here the example is sweet potato. Now there is a question, the sweet potato or Ipomea batatas. Ipomea batatas is sweet potato. It comes under dicot family. Then how come this is a tuberous root? From the base of the stem, they will be producing fibrous root. They will be producing adventitious root, and then this adventitious root stores food in it. Okay, this is not from the primary root. This is from the adventitious roots produced from the dicot plants. Okay, so the first example for here, tuberous root, is a sweet potato. And the second one, fasciculated root. Here, several roots are produced from the base of the stem. Several a tuft of roots are produced, adventitious roots are produced from the base of the stem. And best known example for this is asparagus and dahlia. And the third type is nodulose roots. Nodulose means small buds or small nodule-like structure, small notch-like structure. So these roots are like a notched one. So from the base of the stem, this notched slender root will be produced, which later produce nodulose structure of stored food matter. Best example for this is turmeric forms the best example, and then arrowroot also forms, maranta or arrowroot also forms the best example for nodulose roots. And then the next one, moniliform roots. Moniliform roots are beaded roots. Moniliform or beaded roots. These beaded roots forms swelling at regular intervals, so it looks like beaded. It looks like a chain with bead. And the best example for this is vitis and portulaca and mumodica. Vitis, portulaca and mumodica are the best example for moniliform roots. And then the last one, fifth one, is annulated roots. Annulated roots, somewhat like a structure of an earthworm. It's segmented at very regular intervals. So this annulated roots you can see in ipecac or ipecac. Okay, ipecac or ipecac is a kind of drug producing plant. A poisonous drug producing plant is ipecac. Okay, so that is annulated root. This annulated root, they are producing annulus. Annulus means regular spiral structure or regular segmented structure. So these 5 are the adventitious root systems modifications. What are they? Tuberous root, fasciculated roots, nodulose roots, moniliform roots, and annulated roots. What are the example? Have a quick recap for the example. Tuberous roots example, sweet potato or Ipomea batatas. Both are same. Sweet potato or Ipomea batatas. Fasciculated roots example, dahlia and asparagus. Dahlia and asparagus. Nodulose roots example, arrowroot or maranta, and turmeric or curcuma domestica. Moniliform root or beaded root example, which is Portulaca and Momordica. Annulated root example, Ipecac, or its binomial is Psychotria. Okay, Psychotria, right? So these are the examples and these are the types. And the next one, the modifications found in root to provide mechanical support. Until now, we have studied about the modifications to support food storage and perennation. This is to do some special function apart from food storage and perennation. So the first type of such kind of example is respiratory roots. So respiratory root, so this is a vital function. Let me complete this mechanical support and we can go with vital function. So for mechanical support, the first one is prop root, which is the best example for that is banyan tree. Prop root. So these prop roots are produced from the lateral branches, which will be giving extra additional mechanical support to the plant. As the plant presses to huge crown, only this stem cannot bear that, so they are producing lateral prop roots, which will later rooted into the soil and will be developing into a trunk, providing extra mechanical support. And the second example is stilt root. So stilt root, or otherwise termed as brace roots, because these roots are produced from the closer node, next closer node, which is present closer to the soil. From the next node, they will be producing roots. And these roots will be giving extra additional mechanical support to the plant. This kind of root you can see in almost all the monocot filamentous plants. So like maize, corn, sugarcane, and barley. So kind of all these kind of plants you can see even in grass and millets. You can see in all these kind of grass members you can see this. So stilt roots. And apart from the grass members, you can see this even in pandanus, screw pine or pandanus. And then the next one is climbing roots. Climbing roots you can see in climbers. Yes, we know that, right? So climbing roots we can see in climbers. So in this climbers, as they are weak stemmed plant, they wanted to have a support. So next to them, if there is a bamboo or if there is a tall tree, they'll be producing a climbing root which have a sticky substance, a sticky juice with them. So with this sticky substance or sticky juice, they'll catch the support, and later very soon the sticky juice will get rise up, attaching the roots to the support. Okay, so this climbing roots you can see in climbers. So we can learn some example for climbers. There is pothos, and you can see this kind of root in piper also. Piper is nothing but the piper beetle is the beetle leaf. Okay, piper beetle leaf, and pothos also you can see this climbing root. You can see even this in money plant too, right? And the next example what we are going to learn here is buttress roots. This is buttress roots. Okay, buttress roots. So these buttress roots are generally present in huge trees. So in huge trees, somewhat like in silk cotton tree, you can see that which is a common plant in our country. So this is in Terminalia or in ficus species. Ficus is Ficus bengalensis is the banyan tree. So this kind of plants, you can see these kind of trees, you can see one more additional lateral roots which produce, which give the mechanical support to the huge plant. Okay, they are spreading horizontally as like a plank. You can see this roots. So this is buttress roots. These buttress roots are also one more type of root which will be giving the mechanical strength to the plant. And the next modifications of root is about it's their vital function. Some of the plants wanted to do some special function with the help of modified root. So in that first is respiratory roots. So in respiratory roots, You can find respiratory roots generally in plants which are growing in swampy region. Okay, so these respiratory roots like some of the aquatic plants possess respiratory root, and also the respiratory roots of mangroves are so common. Let me give you both the example here. So the first one, respiratory root of mangrove, which is otherwise known as pneumatophores. Pneumatophores are the respiratory roots of mangrove. So this pneumatophore will be having too many opening in it. They are termed as nematothodes. Nematode. Nematodes are the breathing pore or opening found in pneumatophores. So this mangrove plants, as they are always grow in swampy region, they wanted to have too much of oxygen. They wanted to get oxygen which they cannot get from the soil. So these plants will be producing negatively geotropic roots. This is very important. They are negatively geotropic roots are produced which grow upwards towards sunlight. So they are positively phototropic. And these roots will be having opening breathing pores on them, so the gas exchange can happen through this natural opening. So these are respiratory roots of mangroves. The best known example is Rhizophora. There is a lot of mangrove plant, Rhizophora vicina, there is a lot, but Rhizophora is the given example. And one more respiratory root is what you can see in Jaschea. So this Jaschea is an aquatic plant which is having floating branches. The floating branches, which will be having floating branches, and from the floating branches, special type of roots will be produced, which will be light, soft, spongy, and floating. So these floating roots will also be doing respiration too, will also be responsible for gaseous exchange too. So these floating roots are otherwise termed as breathing roots or respiratory roots. Okay, floating roots are otherwise termed as respiratory roots or breathing roots. So floating roots, respiratory roots, or breathing roots are found in Jaschea. And in Rhizophora, you can see pneumatophores or respiratory roots. So this is very important function. It's a vital function. And then the second one is epiphytic plant. Epiphytic plant. What is epiphytic plant? A plant which grows on another plant. That is epiphytic plant. A plant which grows on another plant. So this is a kind of orchid. Vanda is the best known example for this, which is a very common example, Vanda. And this Vanda generally grows on the tree trunk. Just as a guest organism, it will be living there. It will never get anything from the plant except the habitat. These plants will be producing two different kind of roots. They'll be having one clinging roots and also the aerial roots. The clinging roots will get hold onto the substratum where they are. And then the aerial roots, which are filled with a special kind of spongy tissue known as filament tissue. And this filament tissue found in the aerial root will absorb moisture from the atmosphere. The filament tissue found inside the aerial root will absorb moisture from the atmosphere, by which the plant will perform photosynthesis by its own. So this plant doesn't depend on the host plant for its survival, only for the substrata, only for the habitat, it's depending on that plant. Right? They have a special tissue known as filament tissue, and the filament tissue will absorb moisture from the atmosphere, and that water the plant will be utilizing for its photosynthesis purpose. So this is epiphytic root. So this is also a very important function. We are learning this under vital function category. And the next example is haustorial root, which are produced in parasitic plants. Parasitic plants like dodder, or we can call them as cuscuta. So in cuscuta or dodder plant, they produce haustoria. What are haustoria? They are the sucking roots. By the term you can understand the meaning. They are sucking roots. These roots will penetrate into the host plant. They will penetrate into the host plant, and this hostoria will be helpful to absorb nutrient from the host plant. They are called hostoria or sucking roots. So the best known example for this is cuscuta or dodder. Okay, so this is a parasitic plant. This cuscuta or dodder is a parasitic plant which grows on the host plant by sucking the nutrient from the host plant. And the next vital function, modification for vital function example is assimilatory root. Assimilatory root. What is assimilatory root? They are going to perform assimilation, that is photosynthesis. They are going to perform a productive work. So the example what I have given here is Trapa. Apart from Trapa, we can see this in Ctenospora too. Trapa and Ctenospora can have assimilatory roots. You can see that these roots are green in color. So you can guess that what they are going to do. These plants, aquatic plants, when they are floating on water, on the surface of water, they will be floating. So they will be doing photosynthesis with the help of their dissected green tiny roots. These tiny dissected green roots will perform photosynthesis. So these tiny roots are going to perform photosynthesis along with the leaf. This is Trapa, and another example is Ctenospora. Ctenospora is a plant which generally grows on the tree trunk. So this assimilated roots will be hanging down from the lateral branches of the host. So Ctenospora and Trapa comes under assimilatory roots which are performing photosynthesis. Okay, so have a quick recap. The first one, respiratory root. Example, Rhizophora. This is a mangrove plant. Where do mangroves generally grow? In the swampy region. So this nematophores will be negatively geotropic and positively phototropic. Through the nematodes present on the nematophore, they will do diffusion of gases. They will do respiration. And one more example for respiratory root is Jasea. Jasea is an aquatic plant which will be having lateral branches floating, and they will be having lateral roots which are produced to do respiration. Jasea will do respiration through their soft spongy roots which are produced on the nodes. And then epiphytic root. What is the name of the tissue present in it? Velamen. This aerial root will be having velamen tissue. With the help of it, they will absorb moisture, they will do photosynthesis. This is epiphytic root. And the next one, this is sucking root or hostoria. Example for this is parasitic plant, dodder or cuscuta. And the next one, assimilatory root, Trapa or Ctenospora. The roots will be green, and dissected green root will be doing photosynthesis along with the leaf. So that is Trapa and Ctenospora. And apart from all these things, one more example, that is Ipomoea batatas. What is that? Can you recollect that? That is a sweet potato. Ipomoea batatas is sweet potato. So this sweet potato will be used as a reproductive part too. That we have discussed in parenation too. So that is reproductive root. Okay. So these are the modifications that we could see in tap root and adventitious root, and also in fibrous root. Now we can have a quick recap of whatever we have studied with the help of an NCERT text. So this is morphology of flowering plants. What is morphology? Large diversity in external structure, or study of external structure is morphology. And why do they have adaptations? To when they are changing their habitats for their protection, for their climbing, for storage, etc., they do adaptations. And this is about the root system and shoot system. And in root, direct elongation of radicle leads to formation of primary root, and they will be producing secondary, tertiary roots. And the primary root and its branches constitute the taproot system. Mustard plant is an example, which is a dicot plant. And in monocot plants, primary root is short-lived. And the roots, a bunch of root will be produced from the base of the stem, which constitutes the fibrous root system. An example for that is grass, etc. Monocots, okay, monocots, here it's given. And in some plants like grass, monstera and banyan, adventitious roots are produced. And the main function of root system are absorption and anchorage. And apart from that, storing reserve food material and synthesis of plant growth regulators are also being done by modified root. Right? So these are adventitious roots which are produced beyond other parts other than radicle. Next, regions of the root: root cap region, region of meristematic zone, and region of elongation and zone of maturation. And root hairs are produced which are endogenous in origin. Okay, right? And then modification of root. Here modification of root in carrot, turnip, adventitious root of sweet potato got swollen to store food. And you can see that these are prop roots in banyan tree, prop root, stem of maize, stilt root, and in swampy area, rhizophora pneumatophores. Right? They help to get oxygen for respiration. Remember that they grow vertically upward and they are found in swampy area. Right? And then modification of root. Here you are learning about turnip. Turnip comes under what is the form here? It's nappy form. Asparagus is nodulose. And these are the pneumatophores. These are pneumatophores. And this is sweet potato. So this is the tuberous. And this is conical form. Okay, so these are the modifications. Under modifications column, NCERT is giving this much details. So now we can have a quick test. Okay, now it's time to go with a test very fast. So what we are going to do now, you have to take a paper and start writing the answers immediately. The floating roots are the characteristic feature of floating roots. Remember that, floating roots. The options they have given as Jashea, Biscum, Tinospora, Vanda. So before that, Jashea is an aquatic plant. Okay, Biscum is a parasitic plant. Tinospora, we have studied that it's usually grows on a plant hanging with the hanging lateral roots. Vanda is an orchid. Okay, so I said Vanda's name for another example. So remember all these names, think about all these names. Floating roots. So what is the function of floating root? What is floating root? And what would be the example? And the next one, moniliform roots are seen in. Moniliform root. What is that moniliform root? Which comes under a kind of adventitious root system. Moniliform comes under a kind of adventitious root system which stores food in it. Moniliform. What would be the example? Dahlia, asparagus, Mirabilis. Mirabilis is the 4 o'clock plant. Mirabilis jalapa is the 4 o'clock plant. And Momordica. Next question. Root hairs occur in the zone of. Root hairs. There are 4 zones, right? Root cap zone, cell meristematic zone, that is cell division zone, and then cell elongation, and then cell maturation. Root hairs are present in which zone? And then the 4th question, Cuscuta shows. Cuscuta, I gave the other name, that is Dodder. Cuscuta. Think about what kind of plant Cuscuta is, whether Cuscuta is a free living plant or it's a parasitic plant. Think about that. And pneumatophore, whether it shows pneumatophores. What are pneumatophores? And Hostoria. And the 3rd one, Velamen. And the 4th option, stilt roots. What do Cuscuta generally produce? What do Cuscuta bear? And 5th question, root pockets act as a balancer and are found in root pockets. Root cap or root pockets. Yeah, let me give you one more hint. Root pockets generally will be air containing one. Okay, along with root cap, root pockets are air containing one. Root pockets especially, they are air containing one. So root pockets act as a balancer and are found in hydrophytes, free floating hydrophytes, fixed floating hydrophytes, submerged hydrophytes. Think and write. These are direct questions. And then the next one, in Pandanus. In Pandanus, root cap is simple multicellular, or it's absent, or it's replaced by root pocket, or it is multiple or multicellular. So these are the few questions. Think and write the answer. And take a break. We'll be coming back with the next part of the lesson. Okay.